Welcome in this new edition of Beyond the Arc right here on High School Cube News, the first edition of 2014. We're a little bit delayed because of the polar vortex has pushed everything back, so we're not going to really talk about the holiday tournament results. You can read all about them right here on High School Cube News. So we'll talk about a couple of other things. Brian Chimino with you once again with Michael O'Brien of the Chicago Sun-Times. So Mike, let's talk about the top three. There has been some changes. Let's start at number 3. Curry, very impressive down in Pontiac, winning that 83rd annual tournament. A.C. Williamson Award winner, Cliff Alexander, they are number 3 right now.
Yeah, there really aren't words for what Cliff Alexander did at Pontiac. I mean, you saw it. I've never seen a big man in Illinois at the high school level ever play like he played. It was just totally awe-inspiring what he was doing when he got the ball. It was tremendous. And the guards came through. You know, the Stamps brothers, they can shoot and they can score. They still have to prove that they can run the team properly. There were too many stretches where Cliff didn't get the ball. Literally throw it within 10 feet of him, it seems, and he's going to get it and score. It was amazing. But the Stamps brothers were able to win the tournament for him. You know, they had 2 tight games against West Aurora and Simeon. It's tough to beat those 2 teams on the last day. You have to beat them both on the same day at Pontiac, and they proved it and they came through.
Moving on to number 2, the winners of the McDipper tournament. We're talking Tyler Eulis, the number 2 Marian Catholic Spartans, 2 years in a row champions, 2 years in a row, Eulis MVP.
Yeah, they ripped through that field. I mean, there was nobody there that could touch them. They won every game by like 15 points. I'm not sure how much we learned even about Marian Catholic, the way they just destroyed everyone in that tournament. There was nobody there that could play with them, but we're going to learn a lot soon enough.
And number 1, still as it was at the end of 2013, the winners of the Proviso West Holiday Tournament. We're talking about the Stevenson Patriots, Jalen Brunson, that team on a roll right now, undefeated.
Yeah, now they deserve the number 1 ranking. They just picked it up in the state. They're number 1 in Class 4A in the Associated Press. A couple other people have also moved them up to number 1. They didn't just beat these good teams at Proviso West, they really dominated them. I mean, they beat Morgan Park by 12 points in the title game. They beat an undefeated St. Joe's team by 14 in the semifinals. And it was just how they looked. A number 1 team, a top-ranked team, has to be calm and confident. They have to have a leader. They have that with Jalen Brunson, who is in the Player of the Year argument. I think we thought it was going to be Jalil Okafor, Cliff Alexander, and Tyler Eulis, and it is. None of them have disappointed, but Brunson has been just as good.
So your top 3, Curry at number 3, 2 Marian Catholic, 1 Stevenson. You can check out the entire top 25 right here on High School Cube News. We have some really big games going on this weekend that we're going to talk about. Let's start up Friday, Mike, up in Lake County. The number 10, Zion Benton Zebes with Malik Yarborough. They're hosting the number 1 previously mentioned Stevenson Patriots.
I mean, it's a horrible matchup for Stevenson. I mean, absolutely horrible. They're going to be without Matthew Johnson, their kind of ball handler, guy who can defend, can do a lot of great things because he got ejected from the Proviso West Final against Morgan Park. Zion Benton is bigger than Stevenson at every single position on the floor. They're more athletic. They've got Malik Yarborough who could single-handedly just go off and destroy them by himself. It's in Zion. I mean, that's going to be a rough one. You know, as much as we think this top 3 is now set with Curie, Marian Catholic, and Stevenson, they could all lose in the next few days, which would just send everything into a mess.
Also Friday in the East Suburban Catholic, Marian Catholic, number 2, hosting number 13, the St. Viator Lions.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the best games of the year, one of the best games in the East Suburban Catholic, which is one of the top conferences. But right now, you have to say that St. Viator is kind of a pretender. I mean, they lost to Fremd, they lost to Prospect. Those are losses they shouldn't have with the talent they have. I mean, Fremd's a good team, they're undefeated, don't get me wrong, but we expected a lot more out of St. Viator. They need a big win to prove that they deserve the accolades they've been getting. And this would be it, if they can knock off Marian Catholic. It's a real tough matchup for Marian Catholic because the dynamic players with Aragondati and Roosevelt Smart who can score in 3 different ways, each of them, which is really hard to stop. I think Mark Felatico, the point guard, may be back for St. Viator, which would be a big deal. But right now, Marian Catholic is definitely the more proven team.
And on Sunday, you got one of the top teams in 4A, Curry, facing one of the top teams in 3A. We're talking about the North Chicago Warhawks, who won the State Farm Classic.
Yeah, that's a big win for North Chicago. To go down to Bloomington, win the State Farm. You know, it's not always a bunch of loaded teams there, but it's been historically a tough place for even some of our better teams to make it through. At North Chicago, you know, I had them preseason number 3. I believe in this team. I believe in the big 3, Kurt Hall, Jaquan McLeod, and Javarius Amos Mays. They're going to give Curie all they can handle. However, they don't really have an answer for the big problem, Cliff Alexander. The key is going to be the guards. If the Stamps brothers defensively can shut down McLeod and Amos Mays, they can definitely beat North Chicago with everything Cliff brings. However, expect North Chicago to be pumped. I mean, this is going to be their big chance to play a public league powerhouse, to play a McDonald's All-American in Cliff. they're going to be up for this game. That's going to be a real tough challenge for Curie.
So a lot of good games going on in the Chicagoland area this weekend. You can read about them all right here on High School Cube News. That'll do it for this week's edition of Beyond the Arc right here on High School Cube News. Tune in next week for a new edition, a little earlier in the week, we promise. Brian Chimino with Michael O'Brien. We'll see you guys next week.